Hi, my name's Alan Cosgrove and with Robert Social Medias, welcome to our bodyweight training DVD. Today we're going to show you a bunch of variations that you can use at home or in the gym just to enhance your training without the use of any equipment. The first exercise that we're going to show is a lower body quad and knee dominant exercise called the partial co-contraction lunges. So if you're down to one knee, what Rachel's going to do is she's going to put her fingertips on her quad and her other fingertips on her glutes and come up 1 inch off the floor. Right here, both muscles are contracting maximally. As she comes up, she's going to keep contact with those muscles until she feels that she's no longer able to maintain tension, and she's going to go back down to that 1 inch position. Right? Most of the time when you get to the top of a lunge, you're actually resting. With this exercise, you don't get any rest. So Rachel's going to perform another 3 reps for us. And this looks like nothing, but when you're trying it at home, you'll realize this is a pretty tough exercise. Alright, rest. Okay, the next exercise, we're moving into the static lunge. So Rachel's just going to set up. And this one's just straight up and down. Just similar to what you're doing with if you're holding dumbbells or a barbell. No real change yet. Nothing fancy. The next variation from that position is to use the box and just place the front foot up. This loads you around the front leg more and allows us to get a greater range of motion. As you can see, Rachel's back knee actually goes below the front foot, which is obviously impossible on the floor. This allows us to get an increased range of motion, which makes the exercise a little harder. Taking that one step further, we now put the back leg under a little bit of stretch. Again, we're really loading the front leg now, and we get a nice range of motion here. So that's lunge with the front foot elevated, and lunge with the rear foot elevated. The next exercise we're moving into a bit more dynamic work with the lunges. So Rachel's going to start hands on hips. She's going to step forward into a lunge. We'll do all right leg to begin, and she just pushes off and back together. Change legs. Right, now we're moving into what I call split squat variations, which is a little different. We classify them as a static lunge when you're on the spot, and a split squat is an entirely different exercise. Some coaches use the same terminology. With the split squat, the back leg stays almost straight, and we're pushing as far forward as we can. Don't be concerned about the knees going over the toe, that's a myth. Rachel's going to perform a couple of reps, and then she'll switch sides. And the beauty of this is we get the hip flexor stretch alongside the work for the lead leg. The next variation of the split squat is just with the front foot elevated. Same way, back leg remains almost straight, and Rachel's just going to go down. Back up. Again, it's just the increased range of motion we're looking for through the front leg. Just change sides. And then when just, again, the other variation is to put the rear foot on the box, which is just classified as a split squat with the rear foot elevated. And it's the exact same thing. We're getting a massive stretch here in that back leg, and our goal is to keep it as straight as possible. It's going to bend a little bit, but we're not bending it and going straight down like the lunge pattern. This full range exercise for a couple of reps. The next exercise is probably the most hated exercise in my gym. This is the Bulgarian split squat. The back leg, my interpretation of the Bulgarian split squat is that the back foot has to be higher than the front knee. That's the difference between that and a regular split squat. So Rachel's just going to demonstrate a few reps. Again, it's the increased range of motion here that we're looking for. Everything with body weight, you have to, obviously without load, you have to use slower tempos and bigger ranges of motion. Change legs. And one more. The next variation of the Bulgarian split squat is what we call extended range Bulgarian split squats, where Rachel is going for massive range here, right? Trying to get her back knee lower than the front foot. This is pretty tough. If you don't have the flexibility, this is not going to be accessible for you, but this is what you can build up to. Do it on the other side. So with this, you obviously just need, you can use a yellow pages or something on the front foot and your back foot on a chair if you're at home. The next one we call the single leg partial squat. Rachel's just standing on the bench and she's just going to squat down. And she's getting quite a deep range of motion here. Most people don't. So what we do with them is when they get to the bottom position, we have them hold for 10 seconds. I won't make Rachel do that, she can come up and relax. The next variation is the full single leg squat that Dos is going to demonstrate now. Essentially we're standing on one leg and doing a full range squat exercise. She's putting his arms right out in front with this one and getting a full range squat. Simple to explain and simple for him to demonstrate, but it's a tough exercise. Good. Just to make this a little more difficult, what we have Robert doing now is just changing the position of his hands. So he's bringing the hands back on his head and doing the exact same exercise. But now he doesn't have the counterbalance, so his center of gravity is back further, and this makes it a little tougher. One more. Now a real simple one, but we should go over it. It's just a body weight squat. Rachel's just going to perform a couple of reps. And then this is a variation that was created by Mel Sif, where you just stand on your toes the whole time. And you work it. This fries the quadricep and fries the calf, obviously. And you can do all the lunge variations and all the squat variations we're shown today with using the Sif variation. This variation is just the stability ball, ski squat or hack squat. Now you can obviously do this without a ball. You can just lean against the wall and slide up and down. And Rachel can go to the Sif variation here, where she remains up on her toes. So again, you can do this just against the wall. Now we're moving into the hip and glute dominant variations. The first one we're going to do is just a lateral lunge. Rachel's just going to step out. You can do all one side or you can alternate. So she's doing the alternating version. Now just do a lateral lunge, but not dynamic. So this is the more static version. Okay, progressing from there, we move to what we call a skater's lunge. What Rachel does is she sits down into the lunge position and her head never rises. She just moves side to side. This is what we call the skater's lunge. And another variation of the same exercise we call the inline skater's lunge, where Rachel starts in a squat and her center leg becomes the lunging leg and she just steps out with the other leg. So her center leg becomes loaded. So that was lateral lunge dynamic, lateral lunge static, skater's lunge, and inline skater's lunge. So continuing it with our theme of trying to increase the range of motion, Rachel's now doing a lateral lunge from the box. As she steps out, we have the increased eccentric load and the increased range of motion. So we now have the eccentric, and now let's do a static one. Step out, and this one is just offset loading, and it loads that leg a little bit more. Okay, the next one is the inline skater's lunge from the box. So we start on the box in the squat position, and now we got to reach out and down to get to the floor. None of these look that hard on tape. Right, we're still in with the hip dominant exercises. Now we're doing some bridging from the floor. This is what we call passive lock hip and thigh extension. Rachel's just holding her leg there to try to keep one hip in flexion while the other extends. What you'll notice with a lot of people is that they'll do this entire movement exclusively from the lumbar region. We call it hip back disassociation. We're trying to get the hip to move, and with locking the other leg, we're locking the hip joint in place so we don't get as much lumbar activity. Okay, this next version is what we call active lock hip thigh extension. Rachel has to now contract with that left leg to hold the ball into place between her thigh and her abs, and she's got to load through the other leg without losing the ball. If that other leg, if the hip on the other side contracts, just do one incorrect rate this time, so that the ball, same side, it doesn't matter. So this time the ball will drop if that leg starts to move. Just do a couple of reps on the other side. Ball gets locked in place, and we're just recruiting through the glutes. Now Rach, go as high as you can. So we see most people start doing this lumbar rounding. That is not the exercise. At that point you're just getting lower back recruitment, and the hip isn't actually moving anymore. Our next bridging variation is a hip thigh extension. All we're doing is starting 1 inch off the floor and lifting to parallel. And our variations here will be, Rachel, lift your left leg up to 90 degrees and hold it there. And people who get stronger, we put it right down to 1 inch off the floor. Good, other leg. So it's just pushing through the foot that's down. That's a slightly lighter variation and a heavier variation. The next variation is called scissored hip thigh extension. What we have is a foam roller, or you can put a towel or anything under the back of the leg, and as Rachel is bridging, she's extending her other leg. And this is the passive lock variation. And then let's take the hands away. This is a tougher variation with active lock. She bridges. Now you're not pushing through the heel here of that lower foot, we're pushing through the back of the knee. The next one is we bring in the stability ball. Again, you can use a bench for this. We use the ball because it provides the 3 planes of motion simultaneously, but there's just an object with the feet raised. Rachel's on the floor with her palms up. Every chance I get with clients, I try to have them externally rotate, because they internally rotate most of their jobs, driving, sitting at a desk, so on. So all we're doing here is just bridging up from the hip, holding the position, and back down. Again, with body weight training, you got to use slower tempos and bigger ranges of motion because you don't have the loading available. But it has been mine and Robert's finding that we don't believe in loading someone until they can master their body weight. Progressions here include just bending the elbows, which reduces base of support, and you can instantly see that it's just a little harder. And the next variation is hands completely off the floor, so the only support is the shoulders and the head. Which obviously with the ball makes it very difficult to stabilize. The next variation is called the ball bridge. What we're doing here is we're loading the hip structure in an unstable environment, but we're loading the shoulder this time. That's where our anchor point is going to be. Just demonstrate a couple of reps. Good. Now the common mistake most people do with this exercise is this shin starts to move away from vertical and towards this way, and this becomes a quad exercise. That's okay if that's what you're looking for. So I want to see a hip dominant exercise. So bring these forward, hold it against my hand, and give me as full range as you can. And I'm looking for a straight line here, glute contraction, hamstring contraction, without anything coming out of the quads too much. One more rep. Expression we call SHELC, which stands for supine hip extension leg curl combination. It's a continuation of the exercise we saw earlier with supine hip extension. Just demonstrate that one more time. Only at the top of the rep, what Rachel's going to do is start to curl her legs in. Now, other than the glute ham raise, this is the only exercise that gives both functions of the hamstring with the one movement. Like that. So the key thing to watch for here is as you come up, we have a straight line. As Rachel curls, that straight line remains. We don't drop from the hip. That's where most people make the mistake. Right? This is wrong, this is correct. And just give me a couple more reps. Again, we have both the hip extension function of the hamstring and the knee flexion function, both together. And we can obviously use the same progressions with the arm, positions of support. So as Rachel going on her elbows, reduces the position of support, curls it in. Good. Now we're moving into the single leg variations. This is the single leg Romanian deadlift. Rachel's doing this, her right leg is slightly bent. And she's just leaning forward, keeping that arch in the back. This is the first variation where we just lift the foot off the floor. And then our second variation is we allow that other leg behind. We feel that this loads the lateral system a little bit more, you're a little more off balance, but also brings you more into the gait cycle, which is more functional. And obviously anytime we go to one leg, we have a balance component that we need to address. Now we move into a single leg deadlift. All this is we're allowing the knee to bend and come back up. As we get stronger with this exercise, I mean, obviously we can load it, but that's not the point of this DVD, but we can also stand on a small box to increase the range of motion. This is a pretty tough exercise. Let's do the other side. And just watch how Rachel's wants to rotate in this. That's hard, you got to fight that. Your back leg's going to want to turn right across the body, and you got to fight it. Robert's now going to demonstrate a step up. This is about as simple as it gets. It's a multi-joint hip dominant action, and all he's doing is stepping up onto the box. Obviously without load, we look for as high a box as you can handle, but we can increase lever length. If Robert, just put your hands straight overhead, and this makes it a little harder. Now often what we do at the end of a routine is we'll do some kind of static hold, which is great for core and hips. So this is a supine bridge. Rachel's just resting on her elbows, and all she does is lift off the floor, and in this position we'll hold for time. Now obviously I can have her walk it in and bend your legs, and hold, up. This is an easier variation. Back out to legs straight. And obviously the hard variation, you can see the shake is when she lifts her foot off the floor and holds single leg. Okay, back down to irregular. Let's give me that other leg. We'll leave her here for 10 minutes. And relax. And here we have a technically a regression from the last exercise, the bridge. It's just a variation where Rachel's just putting her hands on the floor and bridging. But now the position is at 45-degree angle instead of a 90-degree, so it's a little easier. And she can go to one leg again, and then the other leg. So it's just, it allows us to progress or regress any exercise accordingly. Okay, the first upper body variation we're going to do today is the all vertical pulling. So we're just going to start real simple with the chin up. So here's Rachel just banging out 3 chin ups. Now we're moving into wide grip pull-ups. Pull-ups are anytime when the hands are facing away from you, we consider that a pull-up. Anytime they're facing you, we consider it a chin. But it's largely just semantics. You can use whatever term you want. This is Robert doing the wide grip variation for 3 reps. And obviously grip width is a variable, so he's just going to show a narrower grip. And that's just something that you can experiment with. 1 more rep. This time we have a mixed grip variation. What we're doing is one hand is going to be overhand and the other hand will be underhand, facing you. This brings in the transverse plane, which works at the lats obviously in a rotational manner, and you got to stabilize your torso. So Rachel's just going to demonstrate a couple of reps of mixed grip. And rest. The next variation we have is what we call alternating chin-ups, where Robert's just taking an overhand grip. Instead of coming straight up the middle this time, he's going to go side to side. So he goes to over one hand and he tries to go over the other. This makes it almost like a one-arm chin. The next variation is how we develop into one-arm chin-ups is we use a strap on one side. So Robert's holding the bar with one hand and he's wrapping up with the strap on the other. So he doesn't have a full grip with that hand. And he's just going to demonstrate a couple of reps here. And you can see it's a lot tougher. And just taking this a step further, this time we're just going to use the towel for the grip. So this is now the grip strength is a limiting factor. Right? Okay, the next one is going to be a side-to-side chin-up. Rachel's going to grab with both hands. Now, similar to the mixed grip, we have a different grip on each side. We do want to switch this between sets, because one side will be way harder than the other when you do this. As you can see, the change in speed there. So we're just going side to side here, and we'd do a set, but then we would change the grip, same as we do with the mixed grip. Now, if you're watching this at home and saying, I can't do any chin-ups at all, well, we can use these rubber bands that you can buy all over the place to help you do chin-ups. This becomes your homemade assisted chin-up machine. All we do is loop it over the bar and through. And Rachel's going to demonstrate right now a chin-up. She's going to take the grip, I'll put it in her knee. And all she's doing is supporting now with the strap under her knee. It's going to give her a spot. Cross your legs over. And relax. So all it does is your own spotting machine. And if you don't have a stretch band at all to help you do this, you can do this variation where we're just using an Olympic bar and Rachel's spotting herself with her feet. The key here is she's not squatting. She's pulling hard and just giving herself a little assistance by pushing through the floor. Now we move into upper body horizontal pulling. These are all the row variations that you can do. There's not too many of them, and they're all based around this inverted row position. So all Rachel's doing here is basically a modified pull. Her legs are bent, and she's just performing basically a barbell row modified pull-up type exercise. Now straighten your legs. Make this a little harder. And one more rep. Okay, this is a progression where Rachel is now having her feet raised on a bench and she's performing the reps. Now, third variation is now we're using the stability ball again. Now Rachel has to stabilize the ball with her core and her hip dominant muscles and perform the reps. So she's stabilizing here. We have an unstable surface, so she's able to control through the core as she does the reps here.
Do the reps.
And now we're moving on to a harder variation. Because Rachel's a machine, she's going to demonstrate it. What we're doing now is basically a one-arm row with your body weight. Again, we have all the same variations with the feet. Do we keep them bent? Do we straighten them? Do we put them on a box, on a ball? That remains the same. The one thing that's different now is we're only having one hand on the bar. As she's doing it, Rachel is going to pull and she's going to completely contract and reach with her other hand, which she's going to do by punching my hand. So we're just going to demonstrate 3 reps. 1, 2, 3. So the same as the pull-up variations, we can use the towel to change the grip. And here's Robert just demonstrating that with the towel grip, which means the grip strength is the limiting factor now. Now we move into the upper body horizontal pushing exercise. They're all push-up variations. And this is our entry-level push-up, an incline push-up. I don't believe, and neither does Robert, in doing anything off the knees. If you can't do a push-up, that's fine if you don't have the strength, but we do it off an incline so that you still get that complete hands to toes core stability at some level. Okay, regular push-ups. Rachel's just going to demonstrate a few reps. And there's so many variations we can do off of this position. So Rachel can go to wide grip. And she's taking her hands a little wider, takes her triceps out a little bit. Now back to regular grip, but put the right arm forward 2 inches and the left hand back 2 inches. This is what we call offset grip. We'll do 3 reps on this side. And then switch sides. Next variation, just raising one hand. Okay, so continuing on with the offset progression, this is a fixed object. Now this time we're going to just progress it so that the right arm never fully straightens. So I'll bend the right arm. This is Rachel in the start position, and she's just going to perform reps in that range. So the left arm gets full range of motion, and the right arm remains loaded. Good. Now we have a crossover push-up. Rachel's going to do 1 offset push-up, and just basically hand shuffle over the box and do the other side. And then to progress this further, as she gets onto the box, she'll do 1 close grip push-up, step off again, do 1 here, back on for a close grip, back out for 1 more push-up. The next variation is T push-ups. Just comes up, goes to the T position, works core, closed chain shoulder stability. Okay, dips. Nothing complicated here, just a great upper body exercise. And if you can't do dips, again we can use this band. Rachel just puts your knee in the band, and it gives assistance at the hardest part of the ring and allows you to perform additional reps. Good. Okay, now we're just going to demonstrate push-ups with the hands on the stability ball. Robert's just taking the stance. He's just going to perform some reps here. And the hardest part of this is obviously the unstable surface of the ball, affecting the core, affecting the shoulder girdle. It's actually an incline, so he's not having too hard of a time with it because of the angle. And then we're just going to switch it over and do feet on the ball. Now anytime push-ups get easy, you can go to a decline position and make it a little harder like this. Again, Robert's feet are on the stability ball. It's unstable, so he's having to stabilize through the core a little more than with a regular push-up. And now we're just going to combine those two, and he's going to put his feet on the bench and raise his body up and his hands on the ball. He's going to give me 5 reps here. This gives me the unstable surface and the harder angle. And Robert's literally hugging the ball, so he's working his chest pretty hard doing this. Okay, now we're doing our bridge variations or planks. Robert is on his hands, Rachel's on his elbows. This is just entry-level core stability, holding the abs tight. Our progression is to lift left leg up. And obviously we do right leg up. And then we go with left arm and right leg. And then the other side. And back to center and hold. Now as we return back to my aerobics class, we're seeing the variations of the side bridge. Okay, I'm only going to demonstrate one side, Rachel on the elbow, Robert in his hand. This is the static hold. Then we also do a more dynamic version, where we're moving a little lateral flexion and extension. And then we always bring in the third plane of motion whenever we can. We bring in the rotation. See who can go the furthest. I think Robert's winning. And obviously we demonstrate on both sides. Now Robert's just going to demonstrate almost a combination of the push-up and a side bridge hold. He's going to do a little, basically half a push-up and then into the side bridge. On a single leg, he's stabilizing through the core, then comes back over and just repeats to the other side. Let me see one more on each side. So where do push-ups end and core stability begins? I don't know. Just combine everything to work the total body. One of the hardest movements to do with body weight is an overhead press. Unless you can do a handstand push-up, it's hard to find variations to do so. But this is one we've come up with. This is the bent knee pike, where all Robert's doing here is rolling on the ball and loading through his body, through the shoulders, and it's almost like a military press. One more rep. This is another variation of the same vertical push movement. Robert's feet are going to be on the bench and he's extended in a pike position. So now we have a full inverted position and he's performing reps here. And the variations from here, he can change he can put one leg off the bench, perform more reps. Your varieties here are a little small with this type of movement. And the last variation is in that same pike but using the stability ball. If you don't have a stability ball, you know this is obviously not accessible for you. But here we have an unstable environment and Robert's doing the exact same thing as he was doing before. Okay, now we're going to go into some more advanced body weight exercises. First of all, I'm going to have Rachel demonstrate some of the plyometric variations we use. So she's just going to do a squat, jump and reset. She resets, does another one. Give me one more. So we call this squat, jump intermittent. The second variation is squat, jump continuous, where she's just going to keep going. Good. The next one we call isodynamic, where we're going to combine the plyometric effect with a static hold. Greg Wilson from Australia showed that it takes 4 seconds to completely eliminate the stretch shortening cycle in any exercise. So we're going to pause for a 4 count at the bottom of the squat and then jump. And Rachel's going to give us 3 reps. So squat now. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 4, 3, 2, 1, go. 4, 3, 2, 1. Just moving straight into lunge variations. we're going to do a lunge jump just on the one side without switching. So Rachel's just going to go down and just jump. And we repeat. Give me 4 reps. Now we're going to do scissor lunge jumps. We're just going to go down and jump and switch. And the last one, we go into isodynamic, which is the most horrible one, and she's hating me right now. So then she goes. 4-second hold. 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. And let's demonstrate 2 with the switch. So then 4, 3, 2, 1. Up, switch. 4, 3, 2, 1. Up, switch. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Now we're getting into putting some workouts together. Robert's going to do what we call the dip complex, the dip circuit. And all it is supersetting dips and push-ups. It looks way simpler than it is. And I'm going to only have them start from 4. So start from 4 reps up. As soon as he's finished the 4th rep, he's dropping straight to the floor and he's giving me 4 push-ups. As soon as he's finished the 4th rep on the floor, he goes back up, gives me 3 dips. Back to the floor for 3 push-ups. And I can do variations where he doesn't even let go, I just lift his feet up, but you need a partner for that obviously. The last one is 1-on-1. And you can use the different push-up variations, the T push-ups obviously in this circuit. So now we're going to move into some plyometric upper body variations. This is Robert's just going to run through a series of plyo push-ups. Here's the basic ones. And everybody's seen this one. One of our rules is you got to change where you can touch. A clap is meant level 1. And obviously Robert's getting right up, touching his thighs, touching his head there. They're all just different variations of the same exercise. Now we're going to move into the crossover variations. Just using a small object, similar to what Rachel was doing earlier. But he's jumping side to side. He's getting that lateral movement. Building some upper body power. Okay, now we're going to do something that I got from Juan Carlos Santana called the leg matrix, which is, he calls it super legs or something like that. We call it the leg matrix. It's basically putting 4 bodyweight exercises together: a squat, a lunge jump, and a squat jump for 24 reps each. It's timed. Rachel's going to bang it out now, and hopefully under 90 seconds. With my athletes, once they can go under 90 seconds, we do 2 back-to-back, but we're only demonstrating 1 today. So I'm going to start the clock, and Rachel's going to demonstrate first 24 squats. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. She's making it look very easy. Now she's into lunges. Just 12 each leg with lunges. She's at 30 seconds so far. This just gives you an idea that a lot of our bigger guys and a lot of our athletes have a hard time going through this. This is just a bodyweight circuit, 4 exercises. Now the smile is disappearing. Now when we get into the lunge jumps, which is the next one, it feels like someone climbed on your back. 2, 2, come on Rach. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, 12, and 12. Now we do rapid response squat jumps. These are all done fast, right off the floor. As soon as she lands, she goes. 3. She's hurting right now. 5, 6. Come on, Rach. 8, 10, 11, 12. 12 reps to go. 12, 11. This is real footage. No stuntmen involved. 8, 7, 6. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And rest. That's our bodyweight training DVD. I hope you've enjoyed it and you've picked up a lot of bodyweight variations that you can use in your training. For more information on our products, go to my website at alancosgrove.com. Thank you.